You are welcome, viewers, to today's episode of REST publication. REST publication implies real estate services and transactions, where we discuss issues about real estate, what investors should know, and how to do real estate in a better way. In this episode, we'll be talking about project feasibility, because in our last episode, we concluded on what we call business case. Project initiation, the place of a business case, the role of a business case in initiating a project for proper project initiation. Please, viewers, if you have not listened to that, I would advise you go through that our episode, because the place of business case in project initiation is highly essential. In fact, is extremely important now than ever, so as to be able to guide our resources allocation and optimize the use of investment capital. Now, there cannot be a proper business case without project feasibility. As a matter of fact, without what we call project appraiser. Project appraiser. And what do we mean by project appraiser? This is what we'll be discussing in this episode, and maybe one or two other episodes that will be coming our way. Appraiser is an essential part of project business case. It is a way to see through the project right from planning what will likely be the performance of the project. As a matter of fact, I always say appraiser is like an oracle who will see it all right from the beginning to the end. Now, this project appraiser, in real estate, we say we have what we call decision appraiser, we have executory appraiser, we have follow-up appraiser. For property development, which is our focus, we center on what we call decision appraiser. So this episode will be discussing feasibility, project feasibility, which is an aspect of what we call decision appraiser. Our focus here relates to property developments. As a matter of fact, whatever we gather from this can be of general applications to real estate development generally, even if it has to do with infrastructure developments. So, what then is project feasibility? Project feasibility is just a scope, an aspect in an appraiser. And what it seeks to address is actually to examine the need for the project and the possibility of realizing the project. So we say that in project feasibility, we seek to measure, to answer the question, can it be done? We try to measure the possibility of achieving the project. That is project feasibility. So for this project feasibility, what we do there is to look at the project idea or project concept, the realizability of that project. Whether the project is practicable or not. Whether the idea can be implemented or not. Or whether there is even need for that idea or not. These are what we do in project feasibility. Now, in this project feasibility, you have specific objective to achieve. And that objective is basically to be sure that that project is realizable. That's just the main goal. To be sure that the project is realizable. But in achieving that goal, you have spectrum of analysis to do. You have spectrums of consideration to do. And all these considerations are what we call project factors or indicators that can make or mar the delivery of the project, that can contribute to the success or failure of the project. And all these factors will definitely come or be derived from project environments, both internal environment and the external environment. So, project feasibility, therefore, in real estate parlance and for proper analysis, has two main focus. We have what we call market feasibility, and we have what we call non-market feasibility. What do we mean by this? We mean that to appraise the realization of any projects, we need to consider the place of that project in the markets, which is market feasibility, and all other factors that could make or mar the delivery or the realization of the project will come as what we call non-market feasibility. So please, viewers, don't go away. After this short break, we'll pick market feasibility and start discussion on it in details. Thank you. Welcome back. Now, what we want to discuss in detail is what we call market feasibility. This market feasibility is a way of assessing the possibility of achieving the project, seeing the project through the markets. So what we do in market feasibility is to situate the project concept or the project idea within the context of the market. Is there any place for that project in that market or not? Let me say at this point that in one of our episodes, when talking about generating project ideas, we discussed a lot of series of situations, scenarios that can prompt project ideas. Now, the emphasis, particularly when a project is for financial, whether for stream of income flow or whether for capital gain, in terms of lump sum gain, right? The most important thing is that that project idea must come from the market. As a matter of fact, a lot of project proposals fail because they do not come from the market. They do not mirror the market. They do not reflect the situation in the market. They do not conform with the reality in the market. They do not seek to answer the questions of the reality of the market. So for a proper project initiation, the business case should have what we call market feasibility. And this market feasibility, its role is to situate the project within the context of the market. And what do we mean? We mean looking at the markets, the place of that project in the market. Does the market require the projects? Does the project idea fit into the existing markets? In short, is there any demand or any need for the projects within the market? If the need does not exist, ab initio, that means that project is not feasible from the perspective of market feasibility. So for it to be feasible, from the perspective of market feasibility, it must be that there is need for that project. And the nature and extent of that need must be identified. So that is what we do in market feasibility. So how do we achieve this? Now, in achieving that, the first thing is to do what we call market delineation. Let me just say that in market feasibility, you pay attention to practically maybe three things. The first one is the demand. The second one is the supply. That would be a measure of competition. And the third one is the price, the value threshold. If you get these three things right in your market feasibility, then you are good to go. The market feasibility will confirm whether that project has a place in the market or not. For example, you might be thinking of an apartment building, and you feel that this apartment building, you can sell it for X naira. But the market is saying a figure far below X naira for comparable apartments. That means that market does not have place for your projects. Or you might be thinking of a luxury apartment, whereas the location can only support basic housing. That means, in terms of the nature of the demand, it does not support your project idea. So it's important to have a critical analysis of the market. So in answering a question of market feasibility, there will be what we call market survey and analysis. Without market survey and analysis, you can't do it. It's not a desktop analysis. It's not what you just do in your office. You must carry out the survey in the market, from the markets, collect information from the market, and analyze the information, And not when we say market information here, it might even go to what we call economic data, national economic data, regional economic data, state economic data, and so on. So these are part of what we do, or what must be done when we talk about market feasibility. Now, in achieving that, the first approach is to do what we call market delineation. Market delineation means having to determine what level of the market, or from where will the project be able to draw subscribers, or be able to draw buyers, or be able to draw occupiers, or be able to draw patronage from. So it depends on the use of the project. Whether you are talking of residential, for example, let's just speak for purpose of example, let's speak residential and commercial. Talking about residential property, then there will be need to carry out what we call market delineation, to delineate the region, the scope, the radius of from where that kind of a project can draw occupier, or can draw buyer, or can draw investor from. This is very, very important in terms of market delineation. Though we say what will be the primary market area. The market area for residential, you cannot have what we call primary market area, and you have what we call secondary market area when it is residential. The primary market area represents the range or the catchment area from which the products or the project will draw about 60 to 70% of the patronage, where the patronage will be attracted from. This is what we mean by primary market area. Whereas fall off out of this 60 to 70% will come from an extended area. That extended area represents what we call secondary market area. This market area that we are talking about, this relates to residential property. But when it has to do with commercial property, we don't call them market area now. Viewers, we will be discussing further on this after this short break. Thank you.
Welcome to an environmentally friendly and sensitive development located in Omoli Phase 1 Estate, Ikeja, Lagos. Introducing Sherryville Manor.
For more enquiry, contact Olalakan Abodaran Consulting now. Thank you.
Welcome back. So, before we went on break, we discussed market area, delineation of market area for residential. That there will be primary market area, there will be secondary market area. And what constitutes primary market area? Area where about 60 to 70, large proportion of the patronage will come from. And there are bases for delimiting all this market area. But when it is commercial, I said we don't call it market area now, we call it trade area. Because in this case, you are now looking at the patronage, people that will be shoppers. What will be their shopping habit, their shopping attitude? To what extent, or what will be the catchment area of the regional mall, for example, or of the shopping complex, for example? The catchment area from which patronage, people to patronize stores in such mall will come from. What will be the range? What will be the distance? What will be the radius? What will be the breaking points between one mall or the other, and so on and so forth? So this is what we call trade area. So in terms of commercial property, we have what we call primary trade area, and we have what we call secondary trade area. Now, the delineation of the market area is very, very important. There are a series of processes to delineate market area. We can use breaking points to delineate, particularly when you are talking about commercial, when you are talking about mall, you use breaking points to delineate. So, and otherwise, we can equally look at the nature of the, particularly when it is residential or commercial. In delineating the market, let me mention that while in the market delineation, you have what we call local markets, you have what we call regional markets, you have what we call national markets, And you equally have what we call international market. The nature of the projects can have the capacity to draw subscribers, buyers or occupiers from limited to local markets alone. And you can have a project that will have the capacity to extend beyond local market and withdraw from regional market. Just as you can have that withdraw from national market, and you can have from the one that withdraw from international market. So while delimiting markets area, we should equally have in mind the nature of the projects and the capacity of that project to actually attract subscribers. Let me give you an example. You want to do apartment building, residential, in highbrow area. The outreach, the catchment area for such an apartment building will not be limited to the local government or local environment where it situates. As a matter of fact, you can have people at the ends of affairs in the country, all over the country, that will be interested in subscribing because they want to buy as investment. You can have Nigerians in diaspora that want to remit money to acquire such units so that they have accommodation or they have investment in Nigeria that is performing. Whereas if you are just doing a bungalow, for example, or you are doing set of bungalow building, three bedroom, all room and suite, it will be too much an optimism to assume that such units will have national market. Whereas the apartment structure that I've given as an example, the market is not even limited to national now. It has international markets because it can draw investment or subscribers, people to invest from people abroad. Even apart from that, multinational companies with head office outside the country could invest in it, either as their guest house or as a place of lodging for the executives. So the lack of the project, the nature of the project too, will determine the extent of the market catchment area. So in delimiting markets, it's not only being scientific, there is equally the arts aspect of it, looking at the scope of the projects, the nature of the project, and the capacity of that project to draw subscribers from far and near. Just as in the same vein, for when you talk about recreational center or you talk about regional mall, I give you an example. All these, the biggest mall in Dubai, for example, draws patronage from far and wide. People want to travel to Dubai because they want to go there and do shopping. That is international market. But if you have a small mall at a corner, that small mall might not be able to draw patronage other than beyond that its immediate environment, particularly for convenience goods. Specialty goods will not be there. But where you talk about big mall, regional mall, even as the name implies, you have regional mall, it means it has capacity to serve that locality and beyond. Then you will have the combination of convenience goods, you have combination of what? Specialty goods. Then the markets area, both primary and secondary market area or trade area in terms of commercial properties, will not be limited to just the immediate environment. So while delineating market is important to do that, and you have to achieve delineation of your market first before you can assess your demand. If you are able to delineate your market, you can assess your demand, because your demand will not be guided. There won't be boundary, right? You won't be able to limit, okay, where will they come from? And now, when you are able to delineate your market, you now come to what we call assessment of demand gap. We have seen you are able to determine the catchment area. You are able to know the outreach, how far the projects can reach to draw subscribers, to draw investors, or to draw shoppers. Now, on this point, it will not be okay. Within this scope or radius or catchment area, what actually constitutes your demand. So from our next episode, we'll be discussing about how to assess demand gap. Then we go to value threshold. These are part of what we need to know in terms of market feasibility, how all this can affect the feasibility of our intending project or our proposed project. I look forward to meeting you come next episode. Thank you.